Javon Evans advances over Gunther and Dominik Mysterio to the Elimination Chamber, and Stephanie Vaquer makes Liv Morgan cry. Maybe not the best night for the Judgment Day. Welcome to Silo Voice Wrestling on YouTube and the Silo Voice Wrestling podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jason C. McLean, and these are my assorted thoughts on the February 16th, 2026 WWE Raw. From Memphis, Tennessee, classic wrestling territory. I'm recording this Friday, the 20th of February, around 4 in the afternoon. So I haven't seen SmackDown yet. Now, this might only come out on Saturday, but so if something happens on SmackDown that would logically affect my opinion, well, it hasn't been affected yet because I haven't seen it yet. That's why I think it's important to say the dates. Anyways, so yeah, in the main event, Javon Evans, in a pretty much a shocker, a mini shocker, advanced over Gunther and Dirty Dominik Mysterio to be in the Elimination Chamber. Now, going into this match, I was like, okay, Gunther's the logical one to win, except for the fact that if Gunther is in the chamber, I can't really see them having him get pinned or submitted at this stage in his build as this major career killer guy. So I don't see him going after Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania this year. But I also can't see him winning the chamber. So I think it's probably best he's not in the chamber. So I was thinking Dirty Dom was somehow going to sneak in, but no. Dom had like the hammer out, but then and he was going to take out Gunther, but then Dragon Lee attacked Gunther with the ring bell, obviously setting up some sort of a match. And it looked like Dom was going to win, but no, Javon pulled it through. And this is really cool. Okay, I don't think Javon's going to win the Elimination Chamber, but, you know, it's always good to have some new upstart person in there. And an interesting statistic I heard, he will be the first person to ever compete in an Elimination Chamber match that was born after the match itself was created and first appeared. Yeah, so he's like 22. Wow, this is a big push for Javon. I think he's bouncy. I think he's going to be. I think maybe that mid-air move from last week. They still show clips of that. They're going to be showing it for years to come. I think maybe that was what maybe solidified the decision to put him into the chamber. Imagine what he can do in a structure like that. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what he does in the Elimination Chamber match. Again, I'm not expecting him to win it, but I'm really glad he advanced. This was a nice ending to the show. But of course, they were setting it up with Dominik Mysterio, telling his Judgment Day cohorts that he wasn't, that he still had a match and they weren't there to help him. More on that later, but speaking about Dom and the Judgment, Dom was also present at Michael Cole's interview with Liv Morgan, and he was kind of essential because Stephanie Vaquer came in and cut a really passionate promo on her in Spanish. Now, I think it's great that Stephanie's cutting promos in Spanish. See my last video where I talked all about the last one. I think it also makes sense Dom is there to translate. But I'm wondering, though, because they ended up putting up subtitles. But why did they just run it with subtitles to begin with? Were we supposed to believe that Michael Cole left the announced position to go do that live? I think that was supposed to be an earlier in the day interview. So they could have put it up with the subtitles. It'd be a lot better. But still, I'm glad Stephanie's cutting the promo in Spanish. In case you haven't found it on the line, the gist of what she said is that, you know, you think you had like you had to jump through hoops. You had to earn your spot. Well, no, you didn't have any obstacles. You had the best equipment, the best training right away. I was born in Chile where professional wrestling doesn't exist. She later corrected herself and apologized. It does exist there now. Even Dom made a little reference there. Just when she was younger, it wasn't really a big thing there. And she had to overcome it. She's doing it for all the girls and women like her to show them that they can do it. And Liv, pick me because if you pick me, you're not going to win. You should be embarrassed. I'm going to show you what a real champion looked like. And yeah, that made Liv Morgan cry. That's, I guess, one of the big takeaways. Like, Liv was just so cocky before, so maybe she got like a sort of a reality check. Now, I mean, obviously Liv Morgan did have to go through a lot to get to WWE, but it's interesting that they're really bringing that emotion out in Liv. I mean, they had Liv sort of very emotional before in her feud with Rhea, but she was, I guess, the heel then too, and she's the heel now. They're giving her like an emotional investment in this. They're giving Stephanie a very strong emotional investment. I am like, unless there's some angle I'm not seeing or bookings out to lunch, I'm pretty sure Liv is going to pick Stephanie, and that's going to be a hell of a match. And I'm really looking forward to future promos to come, even though some of them are going to be in Spanish. And I think Dom's role as an interpreter in all this is just great. So that was like an excellent segment on the show. At the beginning of the show, though, we had the Vision interrupting the Usos. I mean, maybe they were implying that one of the masked men was one of the Usos. That was what Paul Heyman was implying. Of course, that turned out not to be the case because LA Knight, came down, and it was LA Knight and the two Usos against the members of the Vision that aren't currently injured and aren't Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker. No, not Braun Breaker. He's injured. Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, and Austin Theory. I almost said Seth Rollins. I don't know. Good match, fun back and forth, but of course the Vision ended up winning by being sneaky. Wasn't the best day for the Usos or for LA Knight, but it also wasn't a good day for Logan Paul because he got stomped by the masked man. Now, in the audience, they actually got a photo of the masked man in the crowd, and like one of the most close-up photos. If you look at the image, it looks like it's JD McDonough wearing makeup. Now, obviously, it's not going to be JD McDonough. I think they have different people under the hood, and I think we're only going to find out who it is when it's ultimately revealed. And that's the only time I think the person's actually going to be it. Not because it's Seth Rollins, because I heard a theory that they're really trying to get Bad Bunny to be part of WrestleMania, possibly in a tag match against Logan Paul and I guess Bronson Reed, maybe teaming with LA Knight. Who knows? And if that's the case, one perfect way to do it is to say he was the masked man. He was the man under the hood. Of course, there's the whole suspension of disbelief that we're supposed to believe that this international music star, in between doing the Super Bowl halftime show, flew to Saudi Arabia, then to Philadelphia and all over and been wearing a hood and stomping out the Vision. But you know what? I'll accept it. As long as there's not a proven video of him live on stage somewhere else when one of these shows was happening, I'm fine with it. And I really hope that's the direction they're going because that could be really, really cool. They could still do Braun and Seth if they both get healthy, but I'm looking forward to that. That's one of WWE's mysteries. The other big mystery started, which is the mystery of who's in the crate. I did a whole video just on that, and at the end of this video, there'll be a link to it, or just go to my channel, What's in the Crate. Talk about that later. We'll talk about that in that video. And speaking of JD McDonough, I know he was there because he actually came out with Finn Balor and with Dominik Mysterio when Finn Balor went to confront CM Punk. And this was an interesting build. It's showing it's adding layers to the match. Like Punk is like, I respected who you were, but not anymore. Basically dared Finn to get the Judgment Day to jump him. It's a smart move by Punk because he's trying to sow dissension between Finn and the Judgment Day because he doesn't want all of them helping him cheat and causing him to lose the championship. That's a very smart move, but it's interesting what they're doing with the Judgment Day. It's interesting where they're building with this. I obviously not when he's facing Punk in the Chicago, Finn is still the heel, but after this, they might actually be making him split from Judgment Day, be a babyface. Of course, we always talk about Judgment Day splits, and it usually happens a year after we talk about it, but the group always continues with different people. So AJ Lee was in another promo exchange with Becky Lynch. This was promo. It sort of showed that Becky was too afraid to fight that day, and it's sort of showing the deterioration of Becky's character, or I guess the build of her character as someone who's kind of losing touch. And I don't know, AJ Lee almost looked a little bit heelish at a point here, which was kind of odd. But no, she's still the babyface, but she was a little bit more, assertive, or more kind of like snarky, less true blue. I don't know. I think they did a great promo last week. There's just a little bit more build from it. Wasn't the best promo, wasn't the worst. I liked last week's better, but this is an interesting development. And we had a women's Elimination Chamber qualifier match, Asuka versus Bayley versus Natty. Now, to be completely honest, I know Asuka's been a champion before, so was Bayley, and Natty, I think, was like a Divas champion when she was Natalya, but I can't see any of these three women in the title picture at Mania this year, for this title at least, for I guess, well, assuming Liv picks Stephanie, this is for Jade's title. I can't really see either of these three women in that mix this year, so I can't see any of them winning the Elimination Chamber. So the stakes in this match, it was still interesting to see who was going to be in the chamber. It was still a good match. I thought maybe they were going to put Natty in the chamber to build that character a bit more. Or Bailey, because then she was in the chamber, but Lyra isn't. I don't know. But no, they picked Asuka, which makes sense. Maybe Kairi Sane's going to get in right now. And Io's, I don't know if both Kairi and Io can get into the chamber. If they can, then we have the Kabuki Warriors versus Rio in the chamber. Still was a good match. Of course, at the end of the match, we had Natty getting attacked by Maxine Dupree. So they're keeping that going. And it's good. Maxine did the nice baby face thing. Didn't wreck Natty's chances of winning. Waited until the match was over and then attacked her. Speaking about the Judgment Day again, Dominik Mysterio, yes, he still had his match, but also he now has a number one contender who's Penta. Now, I know they've already done Penta and Dom before, but I think the main thing is that the original El Grande Americano helped the new El Grande caused the new El Grande Americano to stopped him from cheating and helped Penta win. So, of course, that's mainly the story. Maybe Grande's going to get himself involved in that mix somehow. I also love it how the Kaiser El Grande is a baby face in Mexico, and the Gable one is a heel in Mexico, and it's the complete reverse in the States. And I guess in Canada too. So that's interested to see where that goes. So these were my assorted thoughts on the February 16th, 2026 WWE Raw from Memphis, Tennessee. Did you agree with my assorted thoughts, what I had to say? Let me know in the comments. Follow at Silo Voice Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram, at Silo Wrestling on X, and me at Jason C. McLean on X and Instagram. Also, jasoncmclean.bsky.social and Bluesky. And make sure you like, share, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications for all my wrestling hot takes, cold takes, simmering takes, wrestling opinion pieces, WWE Premium Live Event prediction and review videos, and assorted thoughts on SmackDown and Raw. And you can check out my video on the topic of what's in the crate, the WWE's mystery crate. It should be around here somewhere. That was going to be part of this video. I decided to make it its own. Until then, for Silo Voice Studios in Montreal, I'm Jason C. McLean.